Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Homeschooling the Hard Subjects. I told you guys. I just told Nicole, I said my 4-month is here. My 4-month-old is here, and she's going to get me all off task, and she's over here squealing already. But welcome to the Homeschooling the Hard Subjects webinar. And we have Nicole from Nicole the Math Lady here with us today. This webinar is put on by Homeschool Resource Co., which is our new branding. We were Digital Grab Bag. We moved to Homeschool Resource Co. And things are moving great. We've got a great response to it and all. Right now, our sponsor who is hosting this is actually ourselves. We're doing the homeschool collection, which was formerly Homeschool Grab Bag, which is a series, a bundle of homeschool resources that you can get for 97% off. That opens on Thursday, the 14th. Right now, you can get a sample of that preview collection, which includes 5 products that are paid for. Usually, you would have to pay for these products, but we're giving them to you for free for the next 3 days, so it ends tomorrow. And you can click that little link that just popped up to check that out and to look at it and all. But I wanted to welcome everyone here. Just say thank you to Nicole again for joining us today. I'm going to give her a second to chat. I want to remind you who I am. I am Brooke, the owner of Homeschool Resource Co. I'm also the blogger behind The Fervent Mama. I am a pastor's wife, a homeschool mama of 5. My littlest one is here with me. My other ones I have locked in a room somewhere watching a movie so I can get this out. But as a reminder, this is real life, folks. I am a homeschool parent, and I know Nicole. I think Nicole is too, right?
Yep,
right.
I am.
We are homeschool parents here with you. If a child walks in or if something crazy happens, just go with us because this is real life. This is what we want it to be. We want you guys to feel related to us, relatable, to know, to understand we're right there in the trenches with you. So know that. I'm going to get her in a second. So Nicole, I'm going to kind of throw it over to you really quickly to tell us who you are and about your journey with Nicole the Math Lady while I get this baby.
Okay, great. Listen, I love that the baby is screaming in the background because, as you said, that is real life. And when you sent me the email saying, hey, I might have a 4-year-old in the back, I was like, great, I'll probably have 2 kids walking in and out and a dog barking in the back. So, and that's no different than my homeschool day, So
Absolutely.
So anywho, my name is Nicole. Nice to meet everyone out there. I am Nicole the Math Lady, and I took a particular curriculum, which I'll reveal at the end, and I decided to make math videos for every lessons in the textbook starting at 3rd grade. So I've made over 4,000 videos. People say, are you tired of hearing your own voice? Believe it or not yet. I think I got a few more in me, but I love math. I had a background that was in the corporate world before. And you know how, I think in life, we all have those moments where we're like, look, you get one. What do you want to do with it? What are you called to do? And I remember I had that moment. I was tutoring a student and I was like, I was tutoring the student in math. I was like, this is the best. I love this. I could do this for the rest of my life. And this student was an hour away from my house by the time I had gotten there with traffic. And then I thought, I could make a video. If I make a video, I could reach more students. And I got to tell you something funny, Brooke. I did not even know about the homeschool world when I decided to do this. I just was going to make some YouTube videos and put it on YouTube and see if anybody liked it. And then I did that. And the next thing you know, we had a website and we have all these other people on our team. And it's been just such a blessing. So I am the cheerleader for mamas and math. I'm just so excited just to share my love of math and my love that you can teach math.
How long have you been, when did you start Nicole the Math Lady? Did I miss that?
No, I started that in 2016. But I always say my real job as Nicole the Math Lady started when I was 17 years old, when I had my first student that I tutored in math. But technically 2016.
How old are your kids?
I have an 18-year-old that just graduated high school. Still trying to deal with that. And I have a 12-year-old that at the start of the pandemic, I decided to bring home. I had a peek into his classroom and I said, oh no, this is not what we're doing. So I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I brought him home and, trying to run Nicole the Math Lady, trying to homeschool my son, Justin, has been, a journey, an interesting journey. And I'll add a little bit to that is the one part of what the reason I took him out is my son is on the autism spectrum. And what I saw in the classroom just really wasn't the best fit for him, and nothing bad for the teachers who were trying to work with him, but it just wasn't a fit. So I just said, Lord, just send me the resources and hopefully we will get this done. And, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress.
Yes. I think that's what everybody's homeschool is. It's important to realize that. That's one thing when we come on here and, we call I don't like to call myself an expert. I call everybody else an expert, but I don't like to call myself an expert because we are. Like I was speaking with someone a few weeks ago. We went to a conference and I was talking to them about homeschooling and they were thinking about pulling out their kids. And she was asking all these questions. And I said, it took us like 4 years to finally find a groove and then to figure out what worked for us. And also, it is always a work in progress. It's not just we're going to pick this up and do this thing. Every year we reevaluate our homeschool, and if something's not working, we need to figure out why it's not working. If a child isn't learning the way another child is, we have to figure out what works for that child. Yeah. And so that's an amazing thing about homeschooling is that we have the opportunity to do that, to really hone in and figure out what works for our kids and to be that work in progress and I like to say that the Lord's always working on us and we have to make sure we are always reevaluating ourselves and helping our children to do that too.
I hear that. Again, work in progress. I think that should be like the tagline for homeschooling.
Right. I want to remind everybody, we have had someone come in, Angie said that she uses Nicole the Math Lady and she loves you. So
thank you, Angie. I appreciate that, Angie.
So we pin that up to the top of the chat. But if we say something that you have a question about, or if you want us to talk some more about or anything, add that over to the chat. And we'll, I told you guys, look, a train of kids is now coming out of the bedroom because they all felt like they needed a drink at the same time.
Of course.
So, but ask those questions in the chat. The more you participate, the better this is. The more opportunity we have to to help you in your homeschool. I see that we have about 74 people live with us right now, and that number is always going up. So, let's kind of jump into things. Like I said, I want to remind everybody to go through, participate in the polls, the chat, and tell us what's going on in your homeschool and something that you would like Nicole to help you with. So one of the things that I want to start off with, pull up my little outline here because I told you guys this is real life and I have these kids and my brain's kind of mush. But so let's start off with the main thing. Why is math such a daunting subject for most people?
Yeah, so this is the way I like to describe it, because when I talk to homeschool mamas, this is the first thing they say. They say, Nicole, I'm just not a math person. Like that's what majority. Now there are some who love math. There's even some I've met who come with degrees, PhDs and masters in math. But most people I talk to, I say they have a little bit of math trauma, a little bit of something happened back in school somewhere along the way where either they were told or they made a decision about themselves that they weren't good at it, it's just not their cup of tea. So now they got to turn around and they've got to teach it. And they're like, I don't know what to do, So first of all, part of what I think we like to do at Nicole the Math Lady is we got to heal a little bit of that math trauma. We got to take the angst off of teaching math and say look, you can do this. My whole thing, it's funny. I teach math, but I just say that I teach and I empower families and kids, and math is the way that I do it. For me, it's at the end of the day, it's about having empowered, excited about the world, questioning the world kids, and math is the way that we're going to do it. So, I had a talent for talking about math, and then I said, well, this is the best way that I can use that talent is to help other mamas. Let's do it. Yeah, so I love it. Are you on mute still?
I will do that 100 times during this thing. If a baby starts crying too much, I'll mute myself and then forget to unmute it. So call me out on it. So one thing that you mentioned is you have your son, right? Mm-hmm. Is on the autism spectrum. Okay. So I was going to bring this in later, but I know that we probably have a lot of people who are really interested in learning a little bit more about that. So Tell us a little bit about your story and how you kind of use math to help him. And then let's talk about Nicole the Math Lady a little bit and see how that kind of plays into how you teach your son.
Yeah. So let's do that because okay, so there's Nicole the Math Lady and then there's me homeschooling Justin, right? So now the good news is Justin likes math, like, thank goodness. So, people say, Nicole, does he use the videos or does he use you? Okay, he does a little bit of both. Like, right. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, can you go sit over there and just like watch a video of that lady called Nicole? And he calls himself Justin the Letter Boy. So he's going to make his own videos one day. But yeah, so I teach him math. I do the math portion, right? Which thankfully we have a great rapport when it comes, I love teaching math. I think he likes me teaching math to him. However, I also realized that I was not necessarily the correct person to teach English and language arts, for instance, because we have a speech delay. So communication is a challenge for us. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the time to really do the research that I wanted. So I went and I got help. And, that's part of our thinking at Nicole the Math Lady is I say, as a homeschool mom, as moms, period, as you know, right? Holding the child and two walking in and doing a podcast, we have a lot of spinning plates. And my thing is, we are the managers of this ship. Like that's what I try to look at myself as. I am the manager. I don't have to do every single thing myself. I try to find people who are really passionate about the things that I need. And if I can bring them in, and whether it's through a swap or through I pay them a little something, like I brought a college student in who loves science. Okay, I don't love doing science labs. I hate getting messy, So that is like what, she does. She comes in and she does the science labs, and then I can come be Nicole the Math Lady. And then I can come out and teach him where I'm really passionate and where I'm really excited and where my energy peaks. And in the areas where my energy doesn't peak, I find somebody who does. Because who do you think he's going to learn better from? Is he going to learn better from somebody who's really, really excited about it? And also it's not a bad thing when you've got a kid on the spectrum where sociability is, part of what we're dealing with. Is for me to bring in other people into our homeschool to work with him, So again, Nicole the Math Lady has been the blessing that allowed me to bring him home. But it's also like sometimes the challenge of like, how do I still, my first job at the end of the day is taking care of my son and homeschooling my son and taking care of my family. So, spinning plates, keep the plates spinning is what we try to do.
One thing that you mentioned is, and I like to touch on that too, is we don't have to be the best at everything. And it's okay to say that I'm not. And it's okay to bring other people in who are better than me or who could do it better. Or one thing, and I think we've talked about this on another webinar, is how I went into this trying to do school at home and how it was just a big mess for us. And now from where we started to where we are now, which is completely eclectic and using resources from here and there, and different kids have different resources that fit them. It's so amazing to watch your homeschool evolve and things happen when you allow those things into your life. When you say, when you can recognize I'm not the best at this, but this person is, let them help me, and in turn, when we allowed them to help us, our kids do better. Yeah. So it always brings me back. And I say this all the time, the beauty of homeschooling and what it is and how it's different for every family. It's just amazing. So yeah, let me, before we move on, we have quite a few questions in the chat, but before we move on, tell me, let's see, let's answer this question real quick. Yeah. It says your lessons start at 3rd grade and up. So what do you recommend for younger ages when using Saxon? Just hands-on teaching with mom and dad?
Yeah. So it's really funny because when I started this, I had actually only planned to do middle school. That was like my sweet spot, right? I love middle schoolers. I love that age. A lot of people are like, I don't like that age. I love that age, right? And then I went to a conference and I met some mamas and they were like, Nicole, we need you to start earlier. And I was like, really? Okay, you sure your kids would like me earlier? Because I thought of myself as a middle school teacher. And they were like, yes, we need you earlier. Our younger kids want, first of all, I don't want to have to change curriculums to come to you at like 7th grade. So like, can you start earlier? And I said, okay. So then I looked at the curriculum and I was like, okay, I'm willing to start. I started with 4th grade and we went up from there and I went all the way up to advanced math. And then I had enough people beg me to do 3rd grade. And I was like, okay, I'll add 3rd grade, but I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a reason for it. Because I believe at the younger years, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, I know there's beautiful curriculums out there and things that you can follow. But at this point, what I want for them is a love of learning, period. Right? I want learning math to be play-based. I want you to be down on the floor with some blocks, with a bag of Skittles, learning how to count. And yes, I like one of your questions was, what's my favorite manipulatives? I just told you. It's a bag of Skittles and a bag of coins, you know? Right. And I want them to play and I want it to be fun. And I don't want you to freak out at kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade about what they need to know. Just have them love learning and playing. And then send them to me at 3rd grade. I'll take them from there. Trust me, like we do with tag team mamas. I promise I will do right by them, but I'm leaving them at the younger years to you by design. Like I'm really clear. If it was just about, like if my business was just about, getting customers, I would just go ahead and do it. Kindergarten, 1st, like I get asked every day to do it. But I don't really want to do it. I really believe at that age, we want to be interactive with the students. And as they get older, you can send them to me. I'll take care of them so you can go back with your next younger one and play with them, you know?
So just for, okay, my mic's off, my mic's on, just for the sake of all homeschooling, because we're going to get into a question that I didn't send you, but I always ask, we're going to get into that later, but what do you do that for all subjects? Or is that just math? Or how do you deal with all subjects as far as play-based, or do you start an actual curriculum?
So let me clarify. So I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a curriculum at kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. I'm just saying whatever curriculum you are using, just make sure there's some play involved in it. And, you know, I did not start with my youngest, with Justin at that age. So, you know, we started at 12, so we were kind of past that play-based stage. But I just believe at those ages, the most important thing is just to love learning, whatever it looks like. Our job is to make it fun and exciting and exploratory and adventurous. It's not about cramming information in. Sometimes we see in our Facebook group a lot, people talking about my kid's behind. I see there's something in here about a gap. My kid has a gap. Okay, I got that, and it's important to identify those, and we're going to find ways to plug them. But I don't want you to think that you're constantly like behind and you're on this timetable. Like, my mom has a saying. She always says, look, they're going to be potty trained by the time they're getting married. Like, how we're like so crazy about like, oh my gosh, right, we're almost potty trained. It's like, can you even remember? Like, it didn't matter if it happened on this month or 2 months later. It just didn't matter, especially in my house, because again, when you're on the spectrum, it happens a lot later. So you just have to break that paradigm and break that pressure we have on ourselves to like cram them full of information and make sure that they've got it all. I'm not about that. Like, love of learning and discovery. That's the job at that age, whether you're using a curriculum or not.
Yeah, I think we take for granted how much we actually teach our kids already outside of a curriculum and outside of schooling and outside of all of these things that we feel like they should know, and the things that we teach them every day. Like, we had music lessons this morning. We've been teaching my almost 10-year-old. She'll be 10 in a couple of weeks. She really has a hard time controlling her emotions. She's a very emotional child. And so we've been working on that. And I just had to calm her down. She got frustrated with herself because she couldn't get something done. And I talked to her what the Bible said about temperance and bringing those things out. And that's those just little teachable moments, those little things that we teach them. For instance, if you mentioned coins is one of your favorite manipulatives, how many times do our kids are just curious about things and we tell them, we teach them these things, how they already know the alphabet and they already know their colors most of the time before they go to school, and all of these things and then once they become school age, we become so overwhelmed with, we don't want them to fall behind. when in reality, they're learning every day. People always freak out because we don't start official schooling until first grade. And people are always like, oh, kindergarten and, all pre-K. And it's like, we play, like they play along when I'm teaching my big kids. They're learning while I'm teaching my big kids, but they're going to have their time. We do phonics and, like I said, alphabet, colors, playing, motor skills, cutting, and all of these things that we do, but those learning moments come in time. We don't have to cram everything in there. And that's why I asked you that question, is because that's how we are. As parents, we have to figure out what works for our own family. And if that is a curriculum, if you feel like you need that, great. But if you aren't so much that way, that's fine too.
Yeah. It's okay. And also, one of my staff members, Katie, she always says, like, she tried every curriculum out there. Like, it is okay to also try and to go, that's not the right one. Let me try something else. Like, it is okay. It's actually, I'm going to say that's how it's going to happen. Like, you're going to try something and go, I'm not sure if that was, why? Because your child is unique. Your child is different. And the thing that I really love about homeschooling my son is I get to find out who my son is and follow his interest and like explode his interest, like he's got all these little talents that every time I find out, man, this kid is like, he like created his own YouTube channel and makes his own videos. And then I'll go watch and I'll be like, okay, like, where did he learn to do that? And he taught himself because he was super excited about it. So I'm like trying to promote a love of that and give him more tools and give him more resources. And I don't know if I would have even noticed that if I had kept him in the school system. It just wasn't, nothing bad about the school system. I'm not anti-school system. It just wasn't the right fit for him,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
We have a couple questions that we'll go over really quickly. Where can you find a group that you live near that also homeschools their children that you can connect with? Do you have any, I know we're supposed to be talking about math, but do you have any insight on finding a good group that is fit for your family?
So I'm going to be like that. That's not something I personally have done yet. It's actually something I hope to do this year. So I'm going to answer it like generically. First of all, if you're in social media, this is one of the places I think social media can be really useful, right? Like you can go and just find out in your community, hey, somebody help me. I need a recommendation for a group, and people just come with all their advice, so you can, do a little investigation. But here's the cool part. You actually get to go and like shop the groups. Just because the group is the one that's down the street and closest doesn't, you're looking for community, right? That's at the end of the day, is you're looking for support and community and your kids' playmates. So you get to go and see if it's a fit for you. And if it's not a fit, find another one, So that's actually something we hope to do more of. I can't say that in my first 2 years I did any of that. But that when my kids were young, you wanted to find play dates. That's how I found my play dates,
Right.
It's really the same thing. I mean, obviously find, if a co-op's your way, or, what are the particular homeschooling groups is your way. Cool. But you get to shop it. You get to like select for yourself who your community is going to be.
That's where you get to be a creeper and not be called out for being a creeper.
Right. That's right.
We've had a lot of interest on your math curriculum. We've talked a little bit about it and everything, and I know I have a lot of other questions that I want to cover, but as I'm going through the chat and seeing all these questions, everyone wants to know more about your curriculum. So I'm going to throw up this offer on the screen. Let's see, we'll hit slide out. There's a free trial to sign up for Nicole's. Is this the full curriculum, 7 days of any curriculum, or tell us how that works?
Yeah. So I took the Saxon math curriculum, and that's what I decided to do. Make videos of the entire curriculum from 3rd grade on up to advanced math. And so on what I really believe is that, like, when I first started looking into homeschooling, I was like, $300, like $400. That's a lot of money for curriculum. I don't have that kind of money, So my whole philosophy was like, I wanted what I created to be very accessible to families, because I feel it's education. I feel like it should be free. If I could do it for free and still feed my family, I would, So it's the entire website. You have a 7-day trial. You can set up an account. No credit card is required. You go in, and what I say is pull your kids over. put a video on and walk out the room. Let the kids watch. Let them see if I am the right teacher for them. Because at the end of the day, again, you want your kid to have the best, most passionate, excitable, and like, it's not that you just want it, but they have to feel it, right? So watch your kids, watch me. And so that's one trial I have on the site. So that's for the Saxon math curriculum. Another trial I have on the site is I feel, so when I tutored lots of kids and I would get questions from them and I would look at the questions that they were asking. And I realized the questions that they were asking were not always about what they were asking. They were usually about a math gap that they had that hadn't been filled, right? So the biggest math gap that I found was math facts, right? We hear about it all the time. Math facts, learn your math facts. Okay, there's one thing that you will, yeah, there we go. There's one thing that you walk away with from today is kids who know their math facts tend to do better in math. I said it. Yes, I know you don't want to hear it. I said it. Kids who don't know their math facts have a harder time. And it's really, I remember when it like hit me, I was with a student who was in high school and I asked her 8 times 7 and she had to pull the calculator out. And I thought, that's gotta like almost kind of hurt. It's like we haven't given her the tools that she needs to do the job. And those are the basic tools needed to do this job. So I couldn't really find a great program. So I created my own. I created one that was multi-sensory where there's going to be movement. There's going to be visuals. There's going to be games. There's going to be drilling. We're going to make it fun, and it's like, I'm in there, but these 4 kids that you see in the little, the little coupon down there, they're in there to make it fun for your kids. Like my son went through it's called drill team, by the way. My son went through drill team and, every kid who goes through has their favorite kid. They're like, ooh, I like, one girl's name is Sydney, or another kid's name, is Cole. Like everybody's got their favorite kid. So I just loved watching him go through it and I could put it on and it was 15 minutes a day for like 90 days. And he just learned his math facts and I could go do something else during that time. Give your 2 hands back, right?
I love that. I'm going to be honest and say that we use a different math curriculum. We've tried a few different things and nothing has really stuck for my kids, but videos has been a big thing. We tried a program that was supposed to be fun and it had, I don't know, it was kind of like drills, but everything was timed. And my daughter, my emotional one, she was like, she'd freak out. And it was just supposed to be fun. It wasn't even a grading project or anything. It was just supposed to be fun. And it became just, she hated it. And so we moved to something else and I'm still on the fence on it. So I'm going to be taking you up on that 7-day trial myself because I want to see, you mentioned Katie earlier. Katie works for me as well. And I absolutely love Katie. And she kept saying, Nicole the Math Lady, Nicole the Math Lady. And I'm always so busy that I feel bad, but sometimes I don't go and look at the things that people are talking to me. But when I told her about the premise of the webinar, she was like, Nicole would be great for that. So I went and looked and I got nosy and everything. And now that I'm actually meeting you and all, like, I can't wait to dive in because if your videos are as fun as you are here, then I know my kids are going to love it because you have been just a joy so far.
Oh, well, here's what I tell parents. And I think like, this is what I think, I don't know, again, the magic, as I said, this was a God thing for me. He was just like, look, I gave you some talents, go to work now, like go put them out there. And when I first started Nicole the Math Lady, I thought the students were my only customer, right? Like I'm here, I'm going to talk to the students. I literally talk to the students just like I'm talking to you. I stood at the board right over there. I wanted them to have a real person. I wanted them to feel like they were in my class, like they were the only ones in my class, right? So I knew I could do that. But what I didn't know is that my other customer was the mama. I did not know that until after I started making the videos. And then we just came back from conferences and my favorite part of conferences is like meeting the mamas and their kids. It's like the best part. People are coming up and they're hugging you and they're like, you're in our house every day. And I'm like, that is so awesome. So yes. Yeah. Okay. I'll let you ask some more questions about math because I see lots of mathy things coming up.
Do you have anything on the site that would help someone who is transitioning from another curriculum, how to find what their best grade level is?
Yes. So under the, we'll show the website before we get off, but there's the resources tab. Under there, it says Saxon Math Placement Test. And those are the official Saxon Math Placement Tests from the publisher that you want to go to, because here's the deal. We don't know what your student curriculum, what their curriculum was. We don't know what they were taught, but we also don't know what they retained. So Saxon is all about, it's not about grade level, it's about skill level. So we want to find out what are their actual skills and then try to match them with where their skills are at, which is, I think, is a great way to do it, because we want to empower them. We want them to feel like, you know what, I'm in the right place. People always laugh about the way Saxon does their book. You know, it's like 8/7. Well, 7 means on grade level. 8 means maybe it's a struggling student, but that way that struggling student doesn't feel like they're doing a 7th grade book. They feel like this book's for me too, you know? So you would go take that placement test and it'll give you a recommendation on where you should begin. Now, here's the cool thing about my membership. It's a membership site, right? So it's a 365 days access to my website. But it's not like you're having access to this one textbook. It's to one textbook, whichever one you need at any given moment, right? So if you finish the 8/7 book and you're halfway through your membership, you just flip over to the next book that you need, which might be the Algebra 1 book. So which means you can go as slow as you want, or you can go as fast as you want. You know, some kids, like, they're just math minded and they're like, you know, they're like hustling through. And then others, they're going to need more time. That's okay. Take the right time for the student.
Yeah. I want to point out 2 things that you mentioned. The first thing is your videos are 365. So that when you buy a membership, it starts from that day and you have a whole year from that day to use it. I know there are, and I'm not pointing anybody out, but there are some other curriculums who you get it for a certain amount of time, or even video programs that you have to turn it in and then you have to buy the next program, even if you blow through it quickly and things like that. So that's an important thing to realize when you're choosing a program, or to understand the value that you're actually receiving in that, because that's amazing that, you know, 1 year, but if you're like us and you homeschool year round, that may mean 2 homeschool seasons.
Right.
So that's an excellent thing. Another thing I want to get to is, let's see, knowing timetables is difficult. IEP says use a calculator. Is that really a good method in the long run?
I think it depends on what level the student is at. So if your student does not yet know their math facts, put that calculator away, because that's literally helping them not learn their math facts. So math facts need to be memorized. And people sometimes, I know there's like all these different viewpoints. Listen, when we were growing up, I know that I knew exactly where MTV and HBO and Channel 9, I knew exactly where they were in the list of 100 channels. How did I know that? Because I went back to that channel over and over and over again. It's a matter of taking the time. It's a matter of slow and steady wins the race. You know, sometimes people, I think the biggest mistake we have around math facts is trying to learn too many at one time. It's slow and steady. So like in our program, we teach you 3 on the first day. 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3. That is it. I don't care if you want more. I'll see you tomorrow. You know, because it's slow and steady. We're going to keep piling in, you know, but you've got to make sure the foundation's good first before you can build upon it. So it's slow and steady wins the race. It's like a great summer program is what I always tell people. But no calculator at the young age. Once they have those math facts memorized, then you can use a calculator.
I know a lot of people say, you know, we live in a digital age. You don't have to remember that anymore. You have a calculator at your fingertips at all times with a phone and everything. But you think for as simple as something as grocery shopping, or trying to figure out how a percentage of what something is off when you go to pay for it because it's on sale, you know, things like that. It's still important to know those things and not have to fumble for a calculator or worry about those things that, you know, they're just in your head. They're just things that you can work through. And I think that's another thing that we take for granted in this age that we live in is knowledge. While it is so attainable, because it is so attainable, we're not so eager to go and seek it out or to remember those things. And I think that's somewhere that we fall short. And because I think, let's see, my daughter's in 4th grade and my son is in 2nd. Is what we tell people, but they're really not. They're all over the place. But she's in 4th and he's in 2nd, and we have yet to pull out a calculator. They don't even know how to use a calculator, because I want them to learn these things. I want them to be efficient and to be able to, pump out that knowledge, because a digital age can only go so far. Like, we had technical issues getting on here. What happens if you have a technical problem? If you don't know those things.
Well, and it's also, here's like the workshop I did over the weekend was about, we talk about like how to make math stick, right? And what happens when people, like, this is one of the reasons I think math is a more difficult subject for some people. When people get to math, they get mathy instead of real worldy. Like, I'm not interested in you getting your calculator and like having a bill for dinner, it's $32.54, and then typing in to get 20%, but not understanding what 20% is. Like, right. Why are you giving 20% of your bill to this person? Like, why are we saying that that's the right amount? Like, I don't want you to get mathy. I don't want you to get a calculator and do some formula. Like, it's funny. Right here, I always have things to help teach students. I love using food, right? Like, I have a thing of Pringles and I have a cone, right? We're talking about volume of this and like what it is. Well, I could teach you the formula. I could tell you what the formula is, or I could teach you why it's the area of this base times the height, right? Think of all the Pringle chips that are stacked up. Well, that's how you fill this can, right? It's like how big this is, the area of the base times the height. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to have to memorize that formula. I actually understand it. I want you to understand math, not memorize it.
That's one of the question, or it goes along with one of the questions that I sent you, which was, I was one of those kids, and I regret it now, but I was one of those kids in school because I was not homeschooled. I went to public school, and I was always, I'm never going to use that. I don't need to know it. History, especially, like, I can't wait to talk to John Notgrass later next week. Yeah. Or Wednesday, actually, because I was one of those kids that was just like, I'm never going to use that. I'm never going to need it. I'm not going to learn it. I'm just going to do it so I can get an A and move on and, whatever. But how many times do we go through or you think about those things, like the volume or the area, so to know how much can fit in somewhere, to work through those things critically. So before we go into another, some more questions from the chat, because we do have a lot, it's continually going off, but I want to ask you, that's one thing. Let me see how I worded it here, because that's exactly what I wanted to say. How can we teach math outside of the homeschool setting? So just like you used the formula on finding out how much can fit in there, tell us another way that we can use math that just makes sense for kids and helps them to understand why we're learning those things.
Yeah. So I'm going to take an easy one, and then I'm going to talk why math in general, like, why do I need to go up to algebra 1 or algebra 2 if I'm not going to be doing that in my life, right? Okay. So an easy one is measurements, right? Measurements, like, usually they hand you this sheet and they're like, memorize all these conversions. Okay, let's say you actually got that memorized. Ask me how much further I actually remember that. Like, maybe a week later, I still knew them because I forgot them right after that, right? So I'm not interested in people just memorizing stuff that has no context, right? So perfect way is, I say, instead of just saying memorize something, I'm like, go to Walmart, go to Publix, go over to your Kroger, wherever it is you are. And they love me at my Walmart because we do scavenger hunts. We do scavenger hunt. We're like, okay, listen, we're going to learn, liquid measurement. We're going to learn a cup, a pint, a quart. And then people usually say gallon. And I say, we're going to learn half gallon. I'm going to tell you why. And then we learn half gallon, then we learn gallon. So first of all, you let the kids loose. You're like, okay, go. But don't make a nuisance of yourself in the store, okay? Just be cool. Like, learn how to act in public, okay? Then they go and they pick up and they go, oh, this is 8 ounces. That's a cup. Are they going to be more likely to remember that this is a cup? 8 ounces is this cup? Versus if I just told them, or I just told them to memorize it. They had to pick it up. They had to look at it. They had to see how big it was. They had to see it was bigger than my Pringles can. They're going to remember it because they touched it, because they felt it, right? So that's the first thing. But then the reason I said half gallon is I did not know this until I was an adult. Okay, I'm not going to lie. That there's a pattern. there's a pattern if you teach the half gallon, right? If I say how many cups equals a pint, well, I usually have the kids take it, they'll fill it up, and they actually dump it in and they go, oh, 2. And then I say, okay, well, how many pints is in a quart? And then I have them go get the jug of water and they fill it up, and it's very messy. So do it in your kitchen. Okay, don't do that at Walmart. Do it in your kitchen. And they fill it up and they go, oh, 2. I'm like, notice the same number. And then we do it again. We do quart to half gallon. And that's the one they don't teach us. I don't know if they taught you that, Brooke. They didn't teach me that. Okay. And then you learn, right? Then you learn that's a 2. And you're like, wait a second. If I put in the half gallon here, everything is 2, 2, 2, 2, which means I can easily convert. If you ask me to go from cups to quart, I can say, well, it took me cups to pint was 2, pint to quart was 2. And you will multiply those 2 times 2, I have my answer. So the whole point is, like, if you actually make it tactile and you put it in real life and you make me go touch it and you make me understand that this is the area of this base times the height. By the way, I have all these little toys next to me. This is my cone, right? The formula for this, well, look at the difference. This is just this, but like this side chopped off and this side chopped off. So the formula for this is just 1/3 of the formula for this. Well, that makes sense. That, like, I can see that. I don't have to memorize some crazy formula and remember, well, which one's the 4/3 and which one's the one. I want math to be real life. I need to know how many chips can I fit into my Pringles, Brooke. It's very important. But here's what I want to say. Sometimes people will say, well, why do I need to learn the higher level math? Why do I need to learn pre-calc or trig or algebra 2 or algebra 1? Okay, at those levels, I'm less concerned about the calculus problem that you can bang out, and I am more concerned about the higher level functioning of your brain. And I'm more concerned about your ability to look at a problem and diagnose it and figure out, okay, how am I going to attack this? I'm more concerned about you using logic to prove your point, right? Which, in our world, we seldom see people do anymore, right? Like that's what geometry is all about. It is about using the laws of math to prove that this is the way that it is, rather than just saying, well, because I feel so. So math at the higher levels, yeah, you might not need to know what the polar coordinate is, how to convert a Cartesian coordinate to a polar coordinate. But the higher level functioning that is required for you to prove that point, I'm interested in that, because that's what's going to have you be a lawyer, a speaker, a writer, a doctor. Like that kind of processing in your brain is what you're learning in those higher level maths. So that's my long-winded answer. Nothing I do is short, except for my videos. My videos are short.
No, I'll say that, like, even now, as much as I'm from the South and we cook, y'all, like I'm in Louisiana and I cook almost all of our meals. We're always cooking in the kitchen and stuff. And I still use a kitchen conversion cart that's on my refrigerator, because that's something that I never learned. I couldn't put it together, the way that she just said it. But now I'm going to remember that because of what she just did, so that's why it's so exciting and so fun to learn.
Yeah.
In a minute, baby. Give me a minute, okay? So we have a question. Hey. Come on, you want to come with me for a minute? You want to come for a minute?
And I can say this too, Brooke. I see there's some questions in here that are particular to, like, here's where my child is and here's where they are in math. If they just email us at info@NicoleTheMathLady.com, we will literally consult with you individually to figure out, like, maybe where should your child be starting, or if they did this, where should they go next? So I know if we run out of time, I just want you to know you still can get your questions answered. Just go ahead and drop us a line.
Absolutely. Well, if I think Katie might still be in here. If Katie's still in here, Katie, you can feel free to go through and answer some of those questions and send emails, or even include the link to Nicole's site so people can go and visit that. Because I know one of the things that I was going to mention is do we have to use the whole book and the whole year of math, or can we jump to what what we need. And that's one thing that you mentioned already. You get a full year and you can, whatever you need is what you can access in that year. So let's see. Let's see if we can get anything else in there. How about I'll ask you one of these questions that I already have, and then I'll prepare for one question. Name a math myth and then debunk it for us.
This is one that I was asked at a conference, about are girls just naturally not good in math as boys? That's my answer to that one. Myth. That is a complete and total myth. Like I actually hire some of my students to, help me test things in the system or to help with answers. Like I hire some of our students, and I would actually say at this moment, most of the students that I have hired are girls. Yay. So I don't know. That's a complete and total crazy myth. Girls rock at math. And it's really just about access and opportunity, right? Access to be great. And like I noticed when I first started making videos, I kind of looked out there to see who else was there. And I was like, am I like one of the only girls out here doing math? And I was like, that was just like power to you. Like, let's keep going. So math myth, no, not buying it.
Let's see. Sherry had a question about if the replay is going to be available. Yes, all the replays to our webinars are going to be available. If you signed up as soon as it goes through and is rendered, I guess you can say, you'll get an email saying that you can view it. And then at the end of the series, you'll get an email to be able to view all of the webinars. And we'll also be sending out an email to everyone here with those information about the offers from Nicole, including the preview collection. And if you purchase a collection, the homeschool collection, when it goes on sale from Thursday to Thursday, she also has a freebie in that vendor hall as well. And her offers are listed in there. Hey, baby, mama's talking right now. Please be patient. I'm sorry, guys. I usually send suckers outside so I can get this done and just keep her, but the weather's been bad, so they're all in here and they're like movies and popcorn and questions.
Listen, real life. This is it. This is what it's really like. So
the replays are available. And then let's see, what else can we get to? Oh, there goes Katie. Katie answered a few questions. Memberships start at $59 for the year. So guys, look, I have a question. Is that a family membership or is that per student?
So we have both. The single student starts at $59, and then we have small families that start at $99. And that was like part of my intention when I did this. I was like, again, like the idea is to have as many homeschool families or just families, people, because I also have free videos that are on YouTube. I put some of my videos out there for free because I want people to have the knowledge. I want kids to have access. This is not about, again, I almost passed out when I found out how much some of the curriculums were selling for out there. And I'm really clear we could do that, but it's just not what we're about. We are about access, empowerment, letting you know, mamas, you got this. I know there's a couple daddies out there, but let's face it, it's most of the mamas out here holding it down. You've got this. So we want to give them as many people access as possible.
One question is, and this is something, excuse me, something that I had on the list to ask. If you have a student who either had that math trauma that you talked about, or is really just kind of uninterested in math, besides those hands-on experiences, what else can a parent do to help them love math again, or at least to be encouraged to learn it again?
Yeah. So first of all, if you've got a little math trauma, you got to be willing to put your math trauma aside long enough if you're going to teach it yourself, right? Because sometimes I'll say to people, if I keep telling you I was awful in math, I was awful in English, and I'm kind of stink at it, and I don't really like it. Well, how do you think that's going to go for your kid? like, why are you teaching me then? Either you got to be willing to put your math trauma aside long enough. And I got to tell you, mamas, like we have mamas who just use my site for themselves so they can relearn math, feel empowered, and then they want to turn around and teach it to their child, which I'm totally down for. Like however the tool and the resource works for you, right? So one, you got to be able to put your math trauma aside and be like, no, I am going to be like awesome at math. And you don't need to be Michael Jordan. You need to be the coach. You're the coach. You're not necessarily the star player on the team. You have to be perfect at math, be able to teach it, right? But, hands-on is a great thing. Visual is a great thing, because I said people tend to get very mathy when it comes to math, and I don't want you to be mathy. I want you to be real world. I want you to go in the grocery store. I want you to go into the kitchen. I want you to go outside, and play and like look for how numbers and patterns. That's really what math is all about. It's about patterns. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And that is all related to math. Like, to me, it's so cool. When I learned math again as an adult, when I was like doing all the videos, I felt like I was learning it all over again. And I was like, math is awesome. It's so connected. Everything's connected. Now, for some people, that kind of freaks them out. They're like, oh my gosh, everything's connected. But like, to me, it's like, once you get that they're connected, when you learn this and then you learn this and it finally goes click. And by the way, I want to say this. It might not go. And I was lucky enough that I did have my son that it didn't click on the first try. It didn't click on the 5th try. It didn't even click on the 10th try. Sometimes it's the 30th try that they really get it, that they really understand how it's connected. So like, give yourself some grace and give your child some grace as well.
Absolutely. That's one thing I always try to, you'll probably hear me say it on every webinar, is I believe that you have the tools or you have the knowledge to homeschool your child, no matter what situation that you're in. If you're willing to learn it, to teach them, or if you're willing to be there as they learn it, even if it's just to be an encouragement because you don't necessarily understand it or anything like that, you have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have the ability to homeschool your kid. It doesn't matter if you're a single parent, a working parent, if you are a secular parent, if you are a biblical parent. It does not, if you're a grandparent or if you're a foster parent or anything, it does not matter, because you have the tools and the resources out there. You can choose, you can ask for help. I wish I would have thought to put this in there. Maybe Katie can grab it for me. But we have a Facebook group for Homeschool Resource Co. It is brand new, so there's not a whole lot of things in there, but that's what we want to help you do, is create community amongst people who are like you, to find that community, to find that place where you can find encouragement among other people. If you want to just go to Facebook and search, I think it's called Homeschool Resource Co. Community, and ask to join in, and we'll get you in there. And we're always sharing VIP things. We're going to be sharing things about the sale coming up, ask you about content that you want to see, even in our webinars that are coming up, those types of things, because we want to encourage every parent in every situation, in every walk of life, that this is possible, that you can do it.
Hey, Brooke, can I add one more thing? I'll do it really fast. But like, so for example, as I said, I'm trying to be Nicole the Math Lady and homeschool, be a wife and be, right? So one thing that I do with my son, I love this. My mom, right, who lives about an hour away, Zooms with him every day. And every day he practices his piano for her. He puts on a concert for her and my father, his grandfather, my dad, and they practice their Spanish, and they read a book together. And so I want you to, again, I outsource that to my mom. I had to get help. Like, I want you to know, again, you do not have to do everything yourself. You are the manager of this process. And part of that might be delegating this piece off over here and this piece over here. And, I have a kid that comes over tonight, the neighbor across the street, who needs help with his trig. Okay, great. So I'm going to help him with his trig while he tests my system for me. So, we just have to use our resources well, mamas. We do not have to do it all ourselves.
Right. I don't, I'll throw this out there, and this is a little Bible for anybody who's listening. I don't believe that it takes a village. I believe that God gave you these kids for you, for you to raise them up, and for you to raise them in the admonition of the Lord. But I don't believe we were supposed to do it alone. You are the right person to do it. But if you need help, then you can get help. It's not, we can ask God to place people in our path to help. We can outsource, like Nicole was saying, our family, our friends, those types of things. And that's how we get that ability to go on. Like everybody always asks, one thing when I started these live webinars, I would tell my husband, I don't know how I'm going to do it. People are asking and they want to do this, but I've got 5 kids and I'm pregnant and I'm about to have a baby and I don't know how I'm going to do this. And this is how I do it. People love it. People come in and they're always like, I was reading through the chat and people are like, don't send them outside. And that baby's so cute. And I'm not saying those things to raise me up, but find a way to do it, like don't let your fear or what you think other people are going to say or anything like that stop you in your homeschool or for your kids' sake or anything like that, because you have the tools and the knowledge to do it. You are just as empowered as Nicole is. If you love math, you are just as empowered as Nicole is. If you love to help moms and help parents, you are just as empowered as I am. You can absolutely do it if you set out to do it. And that's what we want to teach our kids. Again, homeschool, knowledge, understanding, empowerment. Those are all things that we want to bring in and raise our kids in to show them that, look, you have the skills. We can do this together, even if it is working together and even if it is struggling together. We can still do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we could have talked for another hour, Brooke.
I know. I'm trying to wrap things up, but the chat, that's the word I'm looking for. The chat's still going on over there. So I'm going to ask Nicole 2 more questions and we're going to have to shut it down. But if anyone has a question, I think Katie or Nicole, one of them put their email address in that chat. If you have questions, reach out to Nicole. She's very willing to answer, to help, especially if it's about her curriculum and the things that she has. We're going to go the first question I'm going to ask you is about those professions, but the other thing, I'm going to get you to pull up your website too at the end. So give us name 3 professions that require a basic math skill set that you wouldn't think of necessarily as a math job.
So I love saying this one because, again, this is why people say, why do I have to learn proofs in geometry? I always say an attorney. Now, again, some people are like, well, I don't want to be an attorney, but anything where you'd have to diagnose something and prove your point, that's all proofs are in geometry. And I'm not going to lie, I did not like proofs the first time around as a student, but as a teacher, when I was really understanding what proofs were, I was like, oh, this is just logic. That's all it is. It's logic. And tell me what job doesn't need. Computer science is all about logic, right? Being an attorney is all about, like, being a writer is about logic. So it's not like necessarily a mathy job, right? There's going to be jobs where you need to be, good at calculations, right? You want to be in finance. Yeah, you're going to need to be good in calculations. But I want you to know that a lot of those more liberal arts types of, more writing and English and those types of things, it's really about logic and process and thought processes. That's what math is building all the time. It's all about patterns and processes. So it's not just about computation all the time. Sometimes people say, Nicole, they make so many little mistakes. And I'm like, mistakes are okay, because I'm more concerned about them understanding the process because of what the process is building than I am about them only getting the answer right. They have to understand the process because that's what they're going to take with them. It's not going to be, again, can they convert Cartesian coordinates to polar coordinates? I mean, really, who cares?
Oh, I love what you just said.
So.
I think you can share your screen. Let's try to pull up your website and you can show people around and see whatever you have for us. Let's look at it.
Okay, great. So this is our website. And again, there's 2 sides to it, is what I like to say. There's the Saxon Math video membership, and then there's the drill team membership. Again, there are free trials where no credit card is required for both of them. If you're looking to see which grades we handle for Saxon Math, you'll be able to find that. There are sample videos of my teaching on the website, so feel free. One thing we did not talk about was online grading. So I understand that grading is a big deal, particularly in math. You need to stay on top of your grading, because if you're not, if your kid's making mistakes and you're not grading it, guess what? They're reinforcing the mistakes. And we know it's really hard to get somebody to learn how to redo something. So we want to like be able to catch a mistake as quickly as possible. So we take that off of your hands by doing online grading, which your student enters their answers into the system, and we automatically grade it and send you a report where you can see exactly how they did on every single question. Again, this allows you to be the manager or the coach in the process and to look at the report and go, wait a second, it took 5 tries, because we have retries, 5 tries to get this question right. So maybe they're not fully understanding it. I think I might need to spend some time here. So we're going to give you back some time where instead of going through all of the homework, you get to be like the expert coach who comes in and handles where they might need to, reshape something or relearn something. So my suggestion is really, again, hit the free trial, let the kids watch. They will tell you instantly whether they like it and they think that I'm a fit for them. Okay. But other than that, it's pretty simple. And again, the pricing, I keep it economical on purpose. It starts at $59 for one student, and for 2 to 5 students, it starts at $99 and it goes up from there. Okay, that's what I've got you for you, Brooke. Oh, I think your mic is off.
I'll do it every time. I was making the baby laugh while you were on the screen because she's so tired. She just fighting us. So she was laughing.
She did a great job. She did a great job. I love it.
One thing that I didn't mention to you that I would like to do right now before we go, I would like to pay from Homeschool Resource Co. We're going to do a lucky draw, and whoever is still live with us, I will pay for you 1 year of Nicole the Math Lady, her videos, her content. So I'm gonna buy a subscription from somebody. This is the first time that we've used this lucky draw content, so let's see how it works. Can you guys see this? That's what's going on the screen, or is it just me?
Yeah, I can see it. Drawing one winner, Eve.
All right, Eve. There is no last name. I will be able to see. I will be able to see your email when I exit out of this on my side. So if you will send me an email at Brooke at the Homeschool Resource Co. Not the Homeschool Resource Co. Brooke at homeschoolresourceco.com. I will, I'll get with Nicole and what's the best way to purchase that for you. And I will get it over to you. So if you can send me an email, and if I don't hear from you within the next couple of days, because we have a very few busy days, then I will email you. But I would like to pay for that for you.
Yay! Welcome, Eve. That's great. Oh, poor
I want to thank Nicole for joining me live. I hope you guys, I know we've had kind of a rough time. We started a little bit late, and I have a very fussy baby. Not only is she very tired, but she's also teething. Oh. And we have 1.5 teeth.
Oh, right there. That's the cool part. When you're homeschooling, it's mamas. So that noise is like music to us. We've all been there.
So I want to thank Nicole again for coming. I do want to remind you guys that we have John Knotgrass from Knotgrass History that's going to be joining us tomorrow at 1 p.m. And then on Thursday, which is opening day for the Homeschool Collection, we're going to talk all about electives with Gina Mayo from Music in Our Homeschool. So she's going to talk with us about music and about electives in general. So be sure that you sign up for those and watch out. I'm sorry, guys. Watch out for the emails that you're going to get about the replay and things that are going on.
It's funny. She's like, I'm going to be louder than you.
She's done. She's done for today. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. I hope you guys in the chat, because it's going off. I hope you guys in the chat are not fussing at me and are just happy. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks again, Nicole, for joining us. And we'll get those offers from Nicole out to you by email as well.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
All right. We've got about 8 seconds and it's going to shut down. It may shut us down, but I'm not.